So that's your clarity. The other clarity I always say is when you're in a sales conversation, one of the first things that you want to do is you need to be clear on where your client is and what it is that they kind of need. But your client also needs to be clear on not just what they need, but what they really want.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Win the Hour, Win the Day. And I am your host, Chris Ward. And today in the house, we have Lisa Dad, and she's going to talk with us about sales, but a really interesting aspect of sales that I really never sort of seen tapped into. So I think it's going to be a spectacular but important conversation. And now I'm wondering why we don't talk about this more. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Okay, so we're going to talk about, we've all seen it, you know, the shopping channel or the wait, there's more. And there's this sense of urgency that we know is a great spearhead for sales, right? We know, oh, creating urgency. But of course, you're uncomfortable saying, I'm uncomfortable saying, oh, I only got 3 more spots. If I don't, A, I don't want to lie about it. B, I don't want to have, you know, one person in my program when I said I only had 3 more spots, right? And it's me and them. So we're going to talk about creating urgency, but how to do it so it's not false urgency. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of false
to
urgency and scarcity out there in the world of sales and marketing.
Yeah. All right. So where do we start?
Where do we start? I think we can start with what is there. The reason why I love to talk about true urgency is because, first of all, a lot of the tactics that are out there, they work. So you see them everywhere of like the shopping cart's closing. And I don't know if you've ever signed up for something. It says the shopping cart's closing in an hour. And then an hour goes by and it goes, oops, we had a mistake with our link. And so now we're going to extend it for 24 hours. It's like, okay, every single person who sends something to me has that same glitch. So it feels a little bit like that's made up, right?
I have taken those courses and yes, they tell you to do that. Okay.
Right. And so I run into the people that I work with are usually like, I know that I'm supposed to do that. It doesn't feel good. Just like you said, It feels inauthentic. I feel like I'm lying. It's like you are lying to people.
Yeah.
It's also, it's not giving a lot of respect to your buyers to think that, guess what? There's probably a real reason that they could urgently use your product. And what if we focused on that rather than, you know, assuming that everyone needs to be bullied? I think it's almost a bullying tactic to bully people into buying, like, buy now.
I don't, and you know what? I cannot stand saying things that aren't true. And I tell people all the time, if people are very generous to me and say that I'm, you know, good with compliments, and I let them know, like, I don't throw them around lightly. I don't say things I don't mean. And I always give the example of, you show me an ugly child, I'll say, look at his motor skills picking up that ball. Like, I will not say something I do not mean. And so I don't want to do that in sales either.
Yeah. And for people that, so if people out there I'm going to give you a different way to do this completely, but for people that are out there that want something quick, but not want to change their whole way of doing things, I'll give you at least a couple tips of shifting exactly the way you just did with the ugly baby.
Yes.
Ugly baby comment. Is that if you already are like, well, wow, I've got these things set up. I do have a shopping cart. What you can do is be honest about this offer is only going to be offered for a limited time. Because that can be, that would be more true, right?
Okay.
You could also say, look, I'm offering this price for now, but it will go up. You know, instead of saying it's going up in an hour and then you change your mind, right? So you can shift your language to still create a little bit of urgency that way and still keep truth and authenticity around it. Because we all know as businesses, as we get more comfortable asking for higher prices, our prices will go up. As we get more experience, they will go up. So you don't have to say they're going up tomorrow, but you can say, I can't offer this price forever. I mean, legit, you're not going to offer it forever. Okay. So automatically that already shifts your the energy that you're putting behind it. And that may sound a little bit woo-woo to people, but when in sales, people do feel our energy. They may not want to work with us and they don't even know why, but it's because they pick up on these little things. Because when we don't feel like we're being honest, there's a little bit of a like energy behind it that is subtle maybe, but people pick up on it.
I so believe in that. And they can smell when there's a desperation for the sale. And
Yes.
on that energy, I'll tell you, I recently had a client, and a lot of my clients tell us, like, within the first month of working with us, they get 25 hours back a week, and it's life-changing. And that's all wonderful. So I got this referral from a client, and it lends itself to your example of energy. I got this referral. She's eager to work with me. So-and-so said I was the best. That's all very nice. Thank you so much. So the first month of 4 sessions, she showed up for 1. Now, often when people do start with me, they're in crisis, they are in chaos, and they're just having a trouble. So they often sometimes are late for the first one or may miss the first one, right? And so now I was waiting to catch up with her in the second month, because she, you have to give you 30 days notice. So she had not. And so I'm like, all right, she's on for another month. I was waiting to catch up with her and say, I'm not sure this is a good fit, because we're not getting off to a start. Right.
Yeah.
So now we're 6 sessions, and finally she shows up for the second one on the 6th week. So this is my intention to say, this isn't working out. So she came off with a little bit of aggression, saying, well, her appointments had run late. That's why she'd missed our session. And how come she doesn't have my direct phone number so she could, make whatever, all these excuses that would be her bleeding her chaotic life into mine. And I have, normally I don't experience this at all, but it was a referral. And this is, I think, how it got in the side door. And previous years, I would have been defensive or explaining or justifying and all this other stuff. And I had no energy about it. I'm like, this doesn't seem like a good fit for you. We'll waive the 30-day thing, blah, blah, blah. And so cut to the end of the conversation. Not only now she's like, okay, I do need the results. Can I try one more month? And now she's asking to cancel and everything's changed. And she's so grateful. Can I stay on? And what a difference I've made in her life. Well, the funny thing is, people, if you show up, if you show up, it's like, if you don't go to the gym, you don't lose weight. But I do think it lends itself. That really was a sale. It was a sale, because you're always selling.
Absolutely. You're always selling.
You're always selling to keep the client, to get the whatever, right? And even, 6 years ago, I would have been defensive about, no, I'm not taking your money. This is what's happening. And I would have had to justify where she dropped the ball. But I was just in pure peace and joy, man. Like, okay, no problem. We're good. And now she's fighting to stay. So I think people, not to be woo, but I don't think people understand when you're smiling and you're clenching your jaw, holding your breath, hoping to get the sale. It does really matter.
It
right?
translates. So it absolutely translates. Your body language translates, your energy 100%. Translates, the way you say words, the words that you select will shift something. We know how much a simple comma in a sentence can change the meaning completely. It's the same way when we talk verbally. So I love that example. And I would also say that that's also a beautiful and authentic sales technique. For had you even said, it worked perfectly, your approach for you, but you could have also said, look, I work with people that don't have enough time to show up. That's what I do. Yeah. And I recognize that there's a point when you're so busy and not quite ready for that. So I'm here for you. And so I can realize it may not be the right fit. And that's legitimate for you, because of course your business succeeds even more when people are saying, she saved me all this time and I didn't have time to show up for her, but now I do. And it doesn't serve you to have a client where you can't get them results, because it's not up to you to do everything. Right. So there's such a truth under that for you, in that clarity of who your client is, that then that comes up in your conversations as naturally as you just described it, because you're clear on that. And that's I told you I was going to give you a new approach, and this kind of leads into it with clarity. So we can maybe dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, go to clarity. Don't wait for us. Take the
wheel. I love alliterations. I love alliterations. I'm going to give you 3 C's, because I just think it's something that is easy to then take some action on after this call, is to say clarity is very big on both fronts, yours and the buyer's. So the first thing is, Chris, I give you an example of, you're super clear on who you can really, really serve. And you're so anchored in that, I can tell by the energy that you bring to this conversation, that you can be on a call and not have desperation, because you're like, I'm okay. There's lots of people out there that need me, and I know that, and I'm ready to let you go because I'm clear on it. So that's your clarity. The other clarity I always say is, when you're in a sales conversation, one of the first things that you want to do is you need to be clear on where your client is and what it is that they kind of need. But your client also needs to be clear on not just what they need, but what they really want. What do they really want? And we may think that it's like obvious. Someone will come to the call and say, I want 10 hours back a week. But actually what they really want underneath it is to not feel alone in their business. Maybe someone else may want something really different than that. So when we're in a sales conversation, the one way to start to make connection with people and really start to sell them on even the urgency piece that we talked about is in that conversation, helping yourself get clear as the salesperson, but also working in that conversation so your potential buyer is also really clear on what it actually is that they're longing for.
So give me examples. So in my case, it would be like, okay, you might say you want people sometimes people want so here's the thing. We do tell, oh my God, pick a sentence, Chris. I don't know what's going on. There's endings to all these sentences. So what I would say is we're told all the time that we get our clients back 25 hours a week within the first month of working with us. And people say, how are you going to do that, Chris? It's really not that hard because you drop the weekend and the evenings. You have no idea. Like we just get you back to 40 hours. It's really not hard to do with some things in play. Now, sometimes people want that time back because they have been recycling burnout and their family's starting to get cranky. Hey, this business is 6 years in and we all were very kind to you the first 2 years when you were like you just weren't showing up for things, but now it's 6 years in. Other times, so they want the family time. Other times they want that time back because they've got a hunger in their belly they cannot, they just can't put out, and they want the business to be something unbelievable. They have these huge ambitions. So they want that time back to put it, into something bigger, right? So you're right, that time back may be for different things. It may be to get in shape. It may be to start dating. It may be to spend time with their family, or it may be because they want a day a week where they can totally build on these, write that book that they always wanted to.
Yeah. So you're bringing that up. So I think what I see is one of the biggest mistakes that people make in sales is that, especially after they've been in business. So for all of you business owners out there, you've been in business for 5 years or more, you see a lot of the same things. Absolutely. The biggest mistake people can make is going quite to an assumption. It's like, I've seen this before. I know you want this for this reason, without really having a conversation around it and getting to the point. Because even if you can see it, so Chris, you can see it from people. The question is, does the prospective buyer have that clarity? And some people have to come to the clarity on their own. And sometimes you can support them in doing that. So you can say, I can hear from you that family is really important to you. And I'm kind of wondering do you want this time back so you can spend it with your kids? Or do you want, like the conversation around really getting clear, even if you feel like I know exactly what they're clear on, it's stopping and saying, but do they? So,
you know what, that's a powerful point, because I had that example with another potential client, and we were meeting, and I made the assumption of talking about, because my clients have this certain profile when they show up and they're all stressed out and stuff. And this one actually, and a lot of people have very serious injuries. Like one woman spilled hot tea all over herself because she was rushing, and she got these surgery. Like people have very serious accidents because they're running around as entrepreneurs trying to get one more thing in. Listen, and I can tell you how many times a day I'm going to burn my house down because I was trying to get one more email in while something was in the oven. But that's another story. But so in this case, I put the narrative on this person about being stressed out. And because she had one eye that was starting to have paralysis, and the doctor said it was lack of sleep and high stress. And so one eye wasn't opening and closing anymore. So I said, yes, I deal with a lot of clients that come in your situation. And she's like saying, no, I'm not stressed out. This is going to go away. I just need a little bit of sleep. And I'm like, okay, so literally you can't see, honest to God, with that other eye, you cannot see how stressed out and what a hot mess you are in. But that's not my job to tell her. So now I'm debating with her what stressed out looks like. And that's, who needs that? That's not a sales process.
Well,
so I put that on her.
Absolutely. And that's very common as well for everyone out there going, oh, I think I've done that too. It's very common. And that's why people feel like sales is about convincing someone.
Right.
Or getting agreement. I have a couple phrases I say are kind of tweetables. It's like, you're looking for alignment, not agreement. So even if you know that when you save her 10 hours in her business, she'll be able to see again, even if she doesn't even fully sleep again, that's okay that you see that. But what is it that right now, people always say meet people where they are, but that's a quick little phrase no one really unpacks. It's like, really meet people where they are. Like if she wants to work with you because let's think of another completely different reason. I really want to be as cool as Chris, because she just looks really cool online and she's really neat. And I feel like my business could just flow the way hers does. Like, who cares? It doesn't really matter, as long as really at the end underneath, what they really need help with is what you do. You can let them say like, yeah, if you want a business like mine and you want to feel like me, let's go. Like, I obviously know how to do that. Right. You don't need to agree that she really needs you because she's got an eye she can't see out of.
Right. She may want it because Chris is not that cool. But anyhow, she may, I do get questions of how do you put that much, how do you get so many videos out in a week? Well, I can show you that. That's really simple. I don't have all day. It takes me an hour and a half. Right. So you're right. The outcome, what I think, I'm diagnosing her problem, and I didn't ask her. And I'm pretty good about asking questions, but you do get into a rhythm where you're like, oh, you fit the 100th prototype. Like, this is to a T. I know this is textbook, but that's what I see. That's not what you see.
And it's what I want to say to people about the commonality of it. This is the up leveling in your sales. For those of you that are doing sales and you just want the next level of that, is to start to recognize that, look, you probably are right. You are probably right, but never go into the sales conversation with the assumption of that. And depending on your different approach, and I work with people on their own natural approaches, some people can naturally call that out and it sounds really great. Other people can do it more from, I'm kind of wondering, it's more of a like, I'm looking for clarification, and I'm also looking for the person to say it out loud, because it will be more grounded in their body and more present and conscious to them when they've said it. So if I can say, I'm kind of wondering, I hear like family is really valuable to you, and I'm wondering what 10 hours back a week could do for you and your kids.
Okay. So I have improved 1,000% over the years, because when I was first in business, it was like sort of a warrior in wartime. If you said something, I would like, I was like, let me sell you. Right? Because I was heavy handed, but because I was so passionate about what I do and I knew I could help. So I have slowed that down considerably. And it is a great reminder. I do always believe if I'm doing a lot of talking, it's not a good position to be in.
Right.
But even I think you're softening the language allows you more leeway when you lean into something then. And it reminds me, I had a friend many years ago, and he was like a fitness instructor kind of person. And he was going to help me with something. And he said, well, what's your goal? Is it, and I'm like, well, of course, to lose weight, always to lose weight. Why else would somebody come to you? And he said, you can never assume it may be for a health or lifestyle or whatever, but I can't look at you and say, yep, you need to lose weight. Right. So he's like, you can't do that. I was like, oh, that's a good point. Right. So I think that's it. It's very, it can be arrogant to put to say, oh, look, clearly you've got this problem. Look at you. Right.
Yeah. And let me take you to the next C, because I think I can expand on what you were just saying with the next C, which I love, is about connection.
Okay.
So someone could be clear. So you walked into that personal trainer and you said, look, I need to lose weight, or I want to lose weight. So that's clarity. You want some weight. You want to lose some weight. You're looking for that result. Okay. But what's the connection underneath? Like, who cares if you lose weight? Perhaps you are getting married and you need to fit in your wedding dress. And it's really important for you to really look your best and feel your best and all of those things. And so the connection to I need to lose weight is really like, I am envisioning my wedding day and how amazing I'm going to feel in my body. And right now, carrying this extra weight, not only I don't think looks good, but I don't feel good about myself. And I want to feel beautiful that day. So the connection, and how could your personal trainer know that? Even if they can look at you and go, you need to lose 10 pounds. It's like, but he doesn't know that what you want is to feel beautiful. You don't want to just look it. You want to feel it. So there's a deeper connection, or I want to gain 10 hours back so I can spend more time with my kids, because it's really important for me that I have time to connect with my children and hear about their day, not just, move on.
It might even be that my mother died when I was young and blah, blah, blah. I can't be busy with my job. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, I never got to have deep conversations with my mom because she was always too busy. And so I want to feel like my kid's best friend or something. Right. So what's the connection? And if in your conversation, right, if sales to me is not a presentation, it's always a conversation. And so
that's a good one. Everyone write that down.
That's a tweetable.
Conversation over presentation. Okay.
Yeah. So here's where we start to build up real urgency, and let go of objections. Because if I'm not worried about presenting anything to you, let's have a conversation. And now I've got clear on what you need and want. It sounds like you know that you're clear now. The clarity's come up for you.
Yeah.
You're connected to what that would actually mean for your life. Like, what's the real meaning under the meaning, right?
Yeah.
That's the deep part. That's the in my belly, or people will tear up almost. Sometimes I say the why that makes you cry. There's like, there's a connection there. And then the third one is really important for them to actually commit and invest is confidence.
Okay.
Confidence or / competence, because they can be clear on what they want and connected to why they want it. But if there's not a sense of being confident that it's actually doable, is actually accomplishable, either from their side or yours, right? So in the conversation, they may go, yeah, I'm connected and I'm clear and I'm confident I could do this, but I don't think Chris's method is for me, maybe. Now, if nobody says that to you, of course, or their confidence could be, yeah, I totally believe that Chris does this for her clients and they get amazing results, but nothing ever works for me. I've spent thousands and thousands on coaches and their programs, I thought they'd work for me and they haven't. And so no matter what you've said or done, if you're just presenting the brilliance of you and what your work is, there can still be this gap but maybe I'm not ready and I can't do it and I don't have the right type of business. There can be a confidence issue.
Yeah. Right. And that will work for everyone but me. Yes. Okay. So those are the 3 C's: clarity, connection, and confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are some good C's. I'm telling you.
And of course, we start with the conversation as the overarching. That's a C, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
Curious conversations. If we start with curious conversations and we do those 3 C's, we're building up the opportunity to have a conversation with someone about this helps with that alignment piece, or compatibility is another way I say it. Like, not only are they an ideal client for you, but do they feel like you're the person for them, right? There's that compatibility. And because if you've really dug deep into the connection piece, that's where the true urgency comes from, because then it's like, oh, that's something I really want. Not a pain point of not having it as much. I don't like to trigger pain points. I like to activate aspirations. So it's like, okay, so, you want to spend more time with your children. How old are your kids right now? Okay. So isn't this like a beautiful time while they're at home and still wanting to hang out with mom? Can imagine the memories that you're building now that are gonna, instead of saying, well, your kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna be out of the house soon, so you better do it now. You say, like, what's it like to play with your kids now? And what if like you made such a strong connection that even when they're teenagers, they still choose to hang out with you some of the time, like it's, you see the aspiration versus
it's gentler and kinder. I never liked the pain point either. I mean, I get it, but I don't want to be, because with the other C, I don't want to be convincing. Like, I'm not here to convince you. Right. And you know what? It's just because I'll tell you this, it costs you time and money. And we all did that as rookies. Like, oh yeah, I need to get the sale and I don't think they're a great fit, or I need to prove to them I can help them. And it's like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Right.
The convincing energy is more about us, by the way. So when you're into convincing mode, it's like, she needs to hurry up and do this. It's not really about her kids. It's about, I've got a program that I want to start in a month and I need another person into it. That's the energy, that desperation energy we talked about. So when anyone, even when I do soul language with people and I pick their soul sales archetype is innate to them, none of them really, except maybe the warrior energy, is about convincing. Yeah. And even warriors, they're powerfully convincing, but when they're pushing it at someone, it doesn't work. So convincing is never a very good energy. That's why I bring people back to alignment over agreement.
Yeah.
No one has to agree with you. It's just, is there a compatibility?
It's not good for you. You don't have fun and they don't have fun.
No, it's not fun. Yeah. Right.
No fun. All right. Lisa, this has been spectacular. Where can people find more of your brilliance?
Yep. So lisadad.com. It's DADD, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn is another way. The best 2 ways.
Yeah, we'll make sure we got it in the show notes for sure. Okay, everyone else, we'll see you in the next episode. And thank you again, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.